Guys, if elegance had a dress code, this would be it. And in today's tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to create this stunning and flattering midi dress from start to finish. Guys, it's a timeless dress and it's the perfect statement piece you need for weddings, formal events, or just when you want to turn heads gracefully. So sit back, relax, and let's get straight into today's video. So guys, for today's tutorial, I'm going to be as fast as I can. This means that I'm not going to show a lot of step by step of the sewing process, just so that the video is not so long. So I'm going to divide this tutorial into 3 parts. First, we're going to start with the lower circle skirt of the dress. Then after that, we'll go on to the upper part of the dress. Then lastly, we'll now complete the cutting and sewing by cutting our sleeve, that is the full puffy sleeves for the dress. So now draw your border lines as I've done. That is 1 inch border line here, 1 inch border line also here. So this part here can be known as the center front, and also it can also be known as the center back or zip allowance too, because we're using this pattern to cut both our front and our back. And then this part will be known as the side seam. So when we are done cutting this and we want to cut the front, we just need to fold this border line and then we cut the front. And when we are cutting the back, we leave it open, and then this 1 inch serves as a zip allowance. Now get your waist measurements. Mine is 27 inches. Subtract 2 from it, and then you divide everything by 6. So, and that will be my waist circumference. So this is 27 minus 2, that's 25 divided by 6. Yeah, this is still our side seam, center front stroke zip allowance. So mark whatever you get here, mark it here, mark it here, mark it here, and this is it right here. So after marking, then I connected everything, and this is my waist circumference. Now the next thing will be to place your tape measure right here and measure how long you want the skirt to be. Now if you look at the picture, it's a midi skirt, so I'll probably measure between, you can measure between 35 to 40 inches depending on how tall you are. And that's it right here. So I'm just going to connect everything. So now all we need to do now is add our 1 inch allowance to the hem, ½ inch to the waist like I mentioned before, cut out and then cut on your fabric. So it's pretty easy like that. If you're a beginner, if you follow everything I've done step by step, you're also going to arrive at the same result. So just use your own measurements and then you always arrive at the same result. And these are the skirt pieces cut out. This is the front, you can see, cut and fold, and this is it, full, and this is the back. I mentioned opening up this, and then we have this. So, and then all I did was just to split the back pieces into 2. So yeah, that completes the front. I said the front, the lower circle skirt part. Now let's move straight to the upper part of the dress. Now for the blouse part, draw a, first things first, draw a 1 inch border line at the top here, and then for this part here, draw a 1½ inch border line. I'll tell you why we are drawing a 1½ inch. Now this line here will serve as the neckline of our blouse, and this part here, this 1½ inch part here, will serve as the button stand extension, because if you look at the design, you would see that there's like a button stand, like it looks like a shirt, so you can see that part. So that is why we have 1½ inches. I'll get your bust measurements, divide it by 4, and then add ½ inch to it. So my bust measurement is 27, so I'll divide 27 by 4, and then I'm going to add ½ inch to that. So whatever you get, just measure it down from here, from your neckline down, and that will be your armhole level. Now divide what we have from the neckline and your armhole line, divide it by 2, then you mark it, and that part will be known as the chest line, across chest line. Now mark your half length down, that is from your neckline down. Mine is 16 inches, so I'll mark 16 down. Let's continue. Now this is my half length marked. Now on the armhole line, I'm going to measure my bust right there. So my bust is 33 inches. I'm going to add 1 inch to that, because if you look at the the upper part of the dress, you see that it's not so tight, it's a little free. So let's just add 1 inch to that. Then whatever you get, divide it by 4. So everything, the results, you mark it on the armhole line. So you mark your bust on the armhole line. Now for the waist is also not too tight. So my waist is 27 inches. I'm going to just add like ½ inch, so it's not too wide also. So just add like ½ inch, 0.5 inch, and then you divide it by 4. So whatever you get, you mark on this half length line. And now we connect. So just connect. So we are getting there. Now for the armhole, before we even draw in the armhole, let's locate our shoulder line. So for the shoulder line, at the neckline here, just measure let's say 1.5 inches down from our neckline here. Measure 1.5 inches, and then we label that the shoulder line. Now get your neck measurement. Mine is 13 inches. You can see how to measure your neckline right in the diagram. So just measure your neckline round. Mine is 13, divide it by 5. Whatever you get, you mark on the neckline, the line here that we labeled as neckline. Now from this point, we need to mark our shoulder line. So our actual shoulder line. So most people's shoulder measurement is usually 5 inches, but if you want to know yours accurately, you can measure that, follow the illustration on the mannequin. So just measure from the base of your neck to the bone of your shoulder. So mine is 5 inches. 5, I'll just mark that 5 inches right here, and then we just draw a line connecting both points, and that's our actual shoulder. Now on the across chest line here, measure your across chest measurement. So you can see also from the diagram, measure from the crease of one armpit to the crease of the second armpit. Mine is 14 inches. So I'm going to divide it by 2. That's 7. I'm going to get 7. So that's 7 inches. I'll mark it right here. And then I'm just going to draw my armhole. So just draw your armhole, connect it here and connect it here. So you use your French curve to draw a curve. Now this completes the upper blouse. There are no darts on the blouse. If you check well, you see that there are no darts. It's a free upper part, so it's not really tight, so we don't need a dart. So yeah, this completes everything. Oh, the neckline. So the neckline is a round jewel neckline. So from here, you can just measure 3.5 inches down, and then at the shoulder line here, just chop off about like 1 inch, and then you can just use your French curve to just draw a round neckline connecting this point to this point. Yeah, this is it, and this is just for the front neckline. For the back neckline, from the top here, you can just measure 1 inch down. Whatever you get, you connect again to this 1 inch that we chopped off from the shoulder. So 1 inch down, then you connect back here. And this right here is the back neckline. Now to cut on your fabric, we can use this pattern to cut both our front and our back. When you now want to cut the back pattern, you can either place a piece of paper underneath this first and then trace the back pattern out. So you trace this out, but when you're tracing the border line for the back, instead of the 1.5 inches that we have here for the button stand, remember from the beginning, you would not have 1.5 inches for the back, just have like 1 inch for a zip allowance. Although if I was making this for myself, I wouldn't be putting any zip allowance at the back. I won't even be putting a zipper at all. But if you're a beginner, you may not know how to work your way around it. So just measure 1 inch for the back neckline instead. Then you trace that out of your pattern. Then you have your back pattern separate. Then for the front, you have the full button stand and this. So I hope you understand what I just explained. So I'm just going to move right ahead to cut all of this on my fabric now. Add your allowance, 1/4 inch to the neckline, 1/2 inch to the shoulders, 1/2 inch to the armhole, 1 inch to the side, and 1/2 inch at the waistline. And guys, these are my cut out blouse pieces. This is the back. This is the back piece here. We have 2 pieces like I mentioned, and this is the front with the full extension. So yeah, that's that. Remember to cut the lining for this. Please don't use the facing. Don't cut the facing, because I feel like the facing is going to stress you, But if you cut a lining, just cut the lining exact same way you've cut your actual fabric. Cut your lining the exact same way using the same pattern. So yeah, if you are, we can now move right ahead to sewing. But let me just quickly explain a little about the sewing of this button stand. So now let's assume this is your lining piece for the front. Just place it right sides together. Sew your neckline 1/4 inch. Then when you're done sewing your neckline, turn it inside out. So we're going to have, okay, sew your neckline. Let me explain again. Before turning inside out. So place it right sides together. Sew your neckline. Sew like maybe a 1/4 inch at the tip here. At the tip here, all the way down. Then you turn it inside out. And then from the edge here, you can just measure maybe 1 inch mostly. So just measure 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch, and then you just sew that down. And that will be like, and that will just give you the shape of a button stand. So and then when you are done, you do the same also for the other side of your front. So I just explained that just because I already mentioned from the beginning that I won't be doing a step-by-step explanation of the sewing process. So after we are done cutting everything, I'll just move straight to sewing. I'm not going to explain anything. Now let's just talk about how to cut the sleeve. Now for the sleeve, you can do this straight on your fabric to make it faster. So just get your fabric, fold into two like this. Now on this edge, mark 1 inch in seam allowance, and that will just serve as our side seam. And this is mine right here. So now get your pattern, measure your armhole here. Your armhole, measure from here. My own armhole here is like 11¼ inches. So just multiply that by 2 because obviously your armhole goes round. This is just the front, it goes round to the back. You got the drift. So the full armhole is like my full armhole is 22½ inches. So that 22½ inches, you can just divide it by 4, and then whatever you get, you mark it this way, this way, this way, this way. You got the drift. Now you're going to mark how long you want the sleeve to be. So just measure your sleeve length. Mine is 27 inches. So I'll just mark 27 inches from here down, from here down, from here down. And this is it. So just connect. Now you can just cut this out. So add the ½ inch allowance here, 1 inch allowance to the hem here, and then you cut it out, and that completes the sleeve. So you cut one more like this for the other side of your sleeve. And guys, these are my 2 sleeves. So there are different ways of cutting this type of sleeves. So there are different ways of cutting this type of sleeve, but this is the easiest way. So this is why I'm using this way for you. There are other ways, slash and spread, using the sleeve block and all those things, but this is the easiest way. And so now we can move straight to sewing. This is my back, my 2 back pieces. Where I'll be putting my zip, my front with the extension, my front with the extension, my lower skirt piece. This is the back, and then these are my sleeves. 1 sleeve here, 1 sleeve here. And now we can just move straight to sewing, and after sewing, the next thing you see will be the completed dress. So guys, this is where I'm at now. So just before completing the full dress, you can see I finished the upper front, the button stands, everything. So I just wanted to share this part for the sleeve. I already attached the sleeve also to my armhole. So you can see that the sleeve is like a puffy sleeve. So all I have to do now is to just fold the hem of my sleeve by 1 inch. After folding it, then I can just it creates a casing. Then I'll just put in my elastic into that. So for the length of elastic, just measure your wrists and measure whatever it is. My wrist is like about 8 to 9 inches, so I'll just cut an elastic that is that length, and then I'll just fix it into this, and that completes the dress. So I'll just be doing that now, and the next thing you'll be seeing is the full dress and the full dress on top of the mannequin. So guys, this is the complete thing. Put on my mannequin. This is the button stand place. You can use like pressing buttons here, so just attach pressing buttons here and here, and then just to clip everything in. So for the waist belt, you can cut any rectangle of any length. I didn't cut anyone, but I can just use this. So just cut any rectangle. It can be as long or as wide as you want. Sew it, and then you can just tie it at the waist. So I'll just tie this one here, and this is pretty much it. This is the idea behind everything. Don't forget to tap the subscribe button below your screen if you found this tutorial helpful, and tap the like button also. I'll see you in my next